Good morning, everyone. It's your bro here, Rigo. I know it's been a while since we lastly had our daily reflection, but now I am settled at St. Joseph's Parish in York, where I have been recently assigned, and it's time for us to rock and roll. So before we begin with today's reflection, do you remember that the third commandment says we should keep holy the Sabbath day? Guess what? Did you know that sometimes keeping holy the Sabbath day can be through doing what some might consider work? Just before we get into that, let's take a look at today's gospel and see what Jesus himself has to say with regards to this. So this is a reading from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 13, verses 10 to 17. Jesus was teaching in a synagogue on the Sabbath, and a woman was there who for 18 years had been crippled by a spirit. She was bent over, completely incapable of standing erect. When Jesus saw her, he called to her and said, "Woman, you are set free of your infirmity." He laid his hands on her, and she at once stood up straight and glorified God. But the leader of the synagogue, indignant that Jesus had cured on the Sabbath, said to the crowd in reply, "There are 6 days when work should be done. Come on those days to be cured, not on the Sabbath day." The Lord said to him in reply, "Hypocrites! Does not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his crate? Does not each one of you on the Sabbath untie his ox or his ass from the manger and lead it out for watering? This daughter of Abraham, whom Satan has bound for 18 years now, ought she not to have been set free on the Sabbath day from this bondage?" When he said this, all his adversaries were humiliated, and the whole crowd rejoiced at the splendid deed done by him. The Gospel of the Lord. My dear brothers and sisters, as we all heard the Gospel from Luke, Jesus cured this woman, this poor lady who had been suffering for 18 good years on the Sabbath. And the only thing the person in charge of the synagogue had to say in this was to blame Jesus for doing a good thing, for curing this woman on the Sabbath. Now, remember I said sometimes taking rest on the Sabbath, sometimes keeping the Sabbath holy, can be done by doing what others would consider work. Now, when we go to church on Sunday, it is to praise and worship God, correct? Now, when we go to Mass, we expect the priest to be there to celebrate Mass, isn't it? But did you also know that celebrating the sacrifice of the Holy Mass is part of what we would consider as the work of the priest? Now, if the priest was to rest from work, would there be anyone available to celebrate the sacrifice of the Holy Mass on Sunday? You guessed right. The answer is no. So, as a matter of fact, the work of a priest in celebrating Mass for his people is a sign of resting, because resting on the Sabbath really is about giving glory to God. And sometimes we can give glory to God by doing work. By doing work. Even though others will see what we're doing as work, it is, as a matter of fact, resting because we are giving glory to God. But now, it doesn't just mean that we should wake up on Sunday morning and run to our offices and make a couple extra bucks. that will be completely missing the point. I'll pick one more example that will make me explain exactly what I mean by sometimes working on Sunday could be giving glory to God. You remember the story of the Good Samaritan? So the Levite and the priest who walked by the person who had been attacked by robbers did not attend to him because they were going to the temple to worship, right? Except that they were going to give glory to God and forgot to recognize Christ in that person who had been attacked by robbers. In today's gospel, the people who were accusing Jesus because he cured that poor woman who had been suffering for 18 good years failed to recognize that in curing that woman, that was giving glory to God, because Christ saw the dignity of that woman. Christ saw her pain, her suffering, and it was time to set her free. Now, sometimes we might wake up on Sunday and we are getting ready to go to church. And it could be that you are a medical doctor, that you are a surgeon, and you receive a call and you are needed in the OR to perform a surgery on someone who is at the point of death. Now, you're placed with two things. It's either you go to church at that moment and worship God, or you go to the hospital and perform that surgery. Now, some are going to see what you're doing if you chose to go to the hospital. Some will see that as working because, of course, you are a surgeon. That's what you do for work. Except that at that point, your reason for going to the OR is not because of the money that you are going to make out of that surgery, I hope. But the purpose of going to that OR to perform that surgery is because there is someone who is at the brink of death and you are needed to cure them. You are needed to save them from dying. The intention behind that act is what is very important. The intention shows that you are giving God glory in the very action that you want to carry out. My dear brothers and sisters, in such a scenario, even though you might have given up going to Mass to worship the Lord and instead going to the OR to save that life, you left God for God. I will say that again. You left God for God. And you went into that OR to save lives, or to save a life. Now, if after you have done what you're supposed to do, and you're still able to attend a later Mass during the day, that is great. But even if you are unable to attend a later Mass during the day because there is nothing available, I do not think that you have broken that third commandment which says we should keep holy the Sabbath day, because you rested by giving glory to God in another way. But if you woke up in the morning and decided to go to the hospital as usual to work, or to go to your office, whatever you do for work, and that was all about making extra money, then that is not giving glory to God. And also, it is not a matter of saying that, well, what I do for living is helping others, therefore I'm going to do that on Sunday rather than going to church to worship. We're talking about specific scenarios like Jesus curing this woman who was bent and suffering for 18 years on the Sabbath. We're not talking about waking up on the Sabbath and instead of worshiping God, we decide to do something that is a little trivial that we could do at other times. We're talking about emergencies. So my dear brothers and sisters, as usual, I am available for follow-up questions, and I just want to let you know that sometimes we can leave God for God, and leaving God for God could be doing what will appear as work to others, but that work in itself is giving glory to God, which is resting. Have a great day, and God bless you.